Well, late at night, I couldn't sleep because I was consumed with an idea stemming from a forum post about who the best D2 team in the world was. Pretty immediately, dispensed with the fact that any kind of online match would mean anything. So the only thing that I considered was basically Dust2 LAN matches. And oftentimes you'll find analysts talking about they're the best, they are the best Inferno team in the world, and or Envious believes that they're the best Inferno team in the world, but they're wrong, obviously. And I think that's all good and fun. That's fair. You don't really know what team will beat. Any team can beat any other team on any given day. That's why the games are played, right? Or else watching them as a spectator and playing them, there'd be no point in playing maps. It'd just be like, okay, you win this one, sure, you take this one, but we'll beat you here, so let's not even play. We already know who's going to win, right? But that's not the case. That's not the case with any kind of sport, and that's certainly not the case with esports either, which I think are a sport in their own right. What you have with the question, who is the best Dust2 team in the world? I think it would be really fun, okay, and I'd like to start something here. Bear with me. That when you look at who the best Inferno team or the best Dust2 team in the world is, you look at it in the historical boxing or MMA fighting title championship way. Okay? So basically, I went back and I looked at who won on Dust2 at LAN first, and then where did it go from there. So, since CSGO's inception, the first win on Dust2, at a LAN, was NIP, right? I think people are fine, even if it wasn't NIP, even if some shitty team beat another shitty team on LAN. I'm pretty sure everyone would agree that the title starts with NIP. Okay, so NIP holds the title from their first CSGO LAN win, September 21st of 2012, on until April 7th of 2013, when Virtus.pro comes out of nowhere and they take the title from them. Okay, NIP 2 months later, in June 17th of 2013, gets a rematch title fight against Virtus.pro on Dust2. They take their title back and they win. Alright? Then a month later, July 7th of 2013, Na'Vi knocks off NIP, and Na'Vi becomes the reigning champions of the world, right? The reigning Dust2 champions of the world, okay? So Na'Vi's plumbing along, you know how Na'Vi is. I'll go over that in a second. Na'Vi gets beat by a team called Lemondogs, a Swedish team, and they basically lose on September 15th, 2013. They lose their title, and then Lemondogs faces NIP that very same day. It's like, alright, you beat Virtus.pro, you think you're the title boss, fight me, NIP, Dust2, let's go. NIP gets their title back that very same day. So, NIP continues dominating on Dust2, actually taking people on until October 27th, until they lose to the Copenhagen Wolves, okay? Copenhagen Wolves then lose their title to the Astana Dragons on November 2nd. I think people remember, I think this Astana Dragons being able to do what they did to NIP at ESWC 2013. I think that's what made people think oh shit, this Astana Dragons team, these guys are for real. These guys are aimers and they're super good, and so that was actually a pretty meaningful victory. So Astana Dragons now becomes the world champions of Dust2, right? Technically, in my world, of a title bout kind of consideration of who the best is, right? And then at the very next LAN, they go to their very next LAN. I think it's Tech Labs 2013, some small LAN. They lose their title to Na'Vi, who is somebody else, because Astana Dragons were a SIS team, and Na'Vi obviously is probably the more successful CIS team in the world. And they lose their title on November 16th, and then they gain it back, alright, in an immediate rematch on the same day. They're like, alright, that's it, rematch me right now. And Astana Dragons come back, they get the title right back. And then, a week later, they lose it to Complexity. Okay, so a week later, they go to the next LAN, and I think that next LAN was actually, yes, it was DreamHack Winter. So they go to DreamHack Winter as the reigning champions. DreamHack, the first major, right? DreamHack Winter 2013. Astana Dragons goes there, reigning champions of Dust2, and they lose it to Complexity of all teams, right? That really, really amazing, strong Complexity team in 2013. Probably America's best, like, actual squad back then, with like Hiko and Swag and Sean Gers and Semphis and Nothing. So they go on from there. Complexity does, and they hold the title until Titan grabs the title, like their very first defense. Complexity has a title defense January 19th of 2014. It's a new year. They defend their title. They lose it to Titan then kind of serves as like a transitionary, like, we give the title to Americans. So Titan gets the title, and then they lose their title right away on their first title defense to iBuyPower on the 19th of January, that same day. They just say, hey, thank you, I'll take this from you, Americans, and we'll give it right back to some other Americans. There you go. So I thought that was interesting. iBuyPower continue defending this title. Okay, and they're dodging contenders. iBuyPower's playing in America. They're not seeing anybody. They don't want to see anybody. They're playing like Homeless and like Mousepaz, United 5. They're playing all these small teams on Dust2, and they take the title from Titan, and then from then on, like, iBuyPower doesn't even play Dust2 at LAN again until they beat Complexity over and over again, and then they tie Fnatic on Gfinity 3, and then they go on to face Titan. So Titan gets their rematch, right? So Titan gets their rematch, and Titan takes the title away. They reclaim their title. And they have the title. It's like August 3rd of 2014. Okay? So this is like right before CSGO is really going to blow up big. So Titan's got the title. They carry the title for 2 weeks. They bring it in to the next major at Cologne, and they lose the title in an, I don't know if people remember this, but this epic 22-18 overtime match to Cloud9, basically the old Complexity team, with Hiko. This is the first time Shroud's in there instead of Swag, obviously. So Cloud9 has this title. Cloud9's like in Cologne. They look really strong in Cologne, and then they meet the brick wall that is NIP. And this NIP actually just like, we didn't know how far that Cloud9 team could go, because that Cloud9 team lost to the guys who eventually won the major, which was NIP. So 2 days later, they lose the title of World Heavyweight Dust2 Champion of the World. World Dust2 Champion of the World, I should say, at LAN, right? To NIP on the 16th of August, 2014. So NIP, they're back. They got their title back. Did you say something? A month later, September 25th, they hand the title back over to Titan. So I mean, this is like the Titan, the strong Titan with like Kenny S, and like Titan defends the title in a few bouts. Afterwards, they lose it to Na'Vi in October, the 19th of October 2014. So Na'Vi has the title again. Na'Vi, who's held the title a few times. So Na'Vi continues just avoiding contenders, holding the title all the way from October 19th till November 11th. There aren't that many LANs. They have to show up to DreamHack Winter, right? They have to defend their title at DreamHack Winter. And then they meet like one of the strongest Dust2 teams of all time, the Envious team. Envious takes the title from Na'Vi. They win all of DreamHack Winter. They basically just showed the world that they're like, they weren't Envy at the time, I don't believe. They were actually still under the LDLC moniker. But they basically, like, it was easy against Na'Vi, I would say. They took control, and they held control, And then they basically named themselves not only the world champions of Counter-Strike at that point, but also the Dust2 title holders of the world. Okay? And at this point, this LDLC team is like hot. It's a new year. They come into MLG Aspen, and then they just get shocked. Like, I don't know if you watch this, but like Peter goes off. Peter's playing for CLG at MLG Aspen. He's going insane. Tarek also going well. This is like where the world, Peter just like came out to the world. This was his coming out party. And CLG becomes crowned as the Dust2 champions of the world, January 23rd, 2015. So CLG then goes on to display a pretty impressive title defense, because nobody's like, people were like, okay, that was one map, Dust2, and that was one time, like, whatever. CLG goes to Katowice, they face against Titan at LAN, on Dust2, and they beat him. Like, Tarek had such a strong game. And then they immediately shit the bed against Keydstars at Katowice on the 12th of March, 2015. They lose the title. Keydstars is now the grand champion. Like, the Keydstars are the title holders of the best Dust2 team in the world. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe Keydstars, they are the Dust2 LAN champions of the world, and every other good team is just like the best contender, right? So every other good team. So basically, like, you have all these other good teams that are in contention for the title. Then they want to get the title shot, and they're gonna get it if they go to a major, because like I don't know. I think either if they go to like an ESEA LAN, or they come to an American LAN, or they go to a major, Keydstars is going to face off against one of these top teams, and one of these top teams are going to hold the title again. The title is going to go back to Europe. So this is the first time a South American team has held the title of the best Dust2 team in the world, right? And this team, Keydstars, who are they going to lose it to? Well, there's really only 4 teams in contention for it, in my humble opinion, right? You've got Fnatic, though they hesitate to play such a balanced map such as Dust2. You've got NIP, who loves to play such a balanced map. You find NIP like favors balanced maps, and there's a reason for that. And you have Team Solo Mid, who are really hot right now as of June 9th, 2015, so summer. Envious, very strong, not as historical as NIP, but in recent history, very strong Dust2 team. And Envious, by the way, are also, right now, if you look at any CT hold of Dust2, like the meta to hold, that's Envious's meta. Like rushing 3 people out long, flashing long, crossfiring long doors, having somebody fall back, and from car and ramp, crossfire cat, not pushing one guy solo up cat or whatnot, and having that CT guy and the mid guy kind of, like, it's a very flexible defense, really, of Dust2. It's amazing. So Envious plays Dust2 willingly. And since Katowice, they've only lost once to NIP in an epic, I don't know if you watched this one, this was amazing. Like, these are some of the greatest matches in, like, Counter-Strike global offensive history. This epic 69-round match, NIP, like, against Envious. Katowice, they beat NIP twice out of 3 times on Dust2. They lost once to NIP, and before that they lost 16-14, like a really close match against Navi, when Guardian's just in fuego, like out of his mind, on fire, dial on. He spits, okay? Basically, Envy is like 7-3 on Dust2 from Katowice on. That's the record, 7-3, and they've lost only like very close matches against NIP, and once to Navi. So Envy seems really comfortable playing Dust2. They seem really strong CT side. They seem to have a pretty strong T side, and they have a very strong claim to the title. So this is like, I would say Envy is a number 1 contender to the throne, to Keydstars' throne, I should say. Now Fnatic is just a strong team overall. They're strong wherever you go because they're so strong CT side, and that's almost always why they avoid playing Dust2. When they do play Dust2, they still do very well on it. Obviously, they're amazing aimers. It's pretty much an aim map. So since Katowice, like, Fnatic has played Dust2 11 times, actually. Other teams almost always pick it for them, and they're like, alright, yeah, why not? And they've won 8 times on Dust2. They've only lost twice. to TSM, and they lost once to Envious, so 3 times. So they've lost to TSM, they've lost to Envious. They seem to be, at the moment, if you consider everything, perhaps the 3rd best Dust2 team in the world right now. But they could probably win on Dust2 against anyone. They have the talent, obviously. TSM also plays Dust2 often. They play it really well. They have a very tight hold. They change up what they do quite a bit. And T-side, they're really strong. So they're 7-4 on Dust2, starting from Katowice, and they basically haven't lost on it since April to Fnatic. So this is why TSM right now, they're really hot right now. Okay, they're like Hansel. They're like Hansel. They're really hot right now on Dust2. They haven't lost since April. They have the strongest claim to like being the #1 contender to the title. They got dumpstered against NIP on Dust2 in March. And they lost a pretty close one to Na'Vi then too. They started off like the quarter. If you break up Counter-Strike into quarters, basically from one major to the next, they started off this like spring to summer quarter, losing to NIP pretty badly at Katowice. But since those losses, they've had a hot streak on Dust2. They haven't lost. Basically, like the title should be one of Envious or Team Solo Mid, taking it from Keith Stars at Cologne, and then from then on, Envious and Team Solo Mid just go at it on Dust2, and that would be such an epic map. If that happens at Cologne, that would be really exciting, actually, that matchup on Dust2. Now, NIP is like the ultimate Dust2 team, in my opinion. Historically, they've played it the best. Historically, NIP is one of the better Dust2 teams. But okay, so they're outdated on it. They've played their meta out. It's now the Envious meta. Their 2-1-2, Forest holding mid and whatnot meta of holding Dust2 is kind of been exploited. I think they're actually like starting to play it the way Envious plays it. And then they're starting to play it the way Team Solo Mid plays it, and then they're kind of like going between the two. They haven't decided, but they can come back. Like that's the amazing thing about NIP. On any map, they can just come back because they never lose their heads. They're always cool. They're always focused on the next round, and that's why they love map balance. Because even if they like mess up and they stumble a little bit, they keep calm. And if a map is balanced, they can win rounds at any point. T side, CT side, it doesn't matter. They can win rounds and come back. So NIP lost really recently to the wildcards Na'Vi, but they're relevant on Dust2, unlike Na'Vi, because they don't lose to bad teams on Dust2. When they do play good teams on Dust2, it's really close. It's like almost always like 16-14, like really close match. And they're always able to win notable victories against strong Dust2 teams. They beat Team Solo Mid, they beat Envy, they beat Fnatic, they beat everybody. They just haven't like done it all the time and consistently. So it's a map they play really often. They don't really dominate on it since Katowice, and their record is 9-8 on Dust2. So yes, they've lost to strong Dust2 teams. They've also beat those strong Dust2 teams, and it makes them kind of like a dark horse candidate to take the title back and be the best, Dust2 team in the world and have the title of the. I mean, anybody can have the title. You just have to be Keith Stars, right? So I will put in the description of the video the timeline of how the title has passed from one team to the next. I think it's interesting to look up the history of a map and look at who won what and where the title went. If you look at it like a boxing title or like an MMA title, and I mean I could probably write it up for like Inferno, Mirage, and other maps as well, Cash and whatnot. But yeah, I have some more content coming along the way. Obviously, my laptop is broken and it has a lot of the content that I wanted to write about and talk about. Once I get that fixed, I'll probably produce that and get that out there. But for now, this should hold you off.